Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. A 304 will never love you. Now that should seem like common sense, and I know some people say, oh, that's common sense and everything. But if that's the case, why so many men pressed about 304s? Like, men are talking all this stuff. Like, if I did videos just talking about 304s or modern women, oh, I probably hit that million or so subs that a lot of guys want me to hit, you know, if I focus on them. But only reason they would be watching because they pressed about them. If you ain't pressed about something, you don't care about it, you know? You don't care about it. You ain't trying to get with them. Or another example, there's all this talk about body count. Guys, I even did something. It was more of an experiment. There were some videos they didn't have anything to do with it. I just throw it out just to see reactions. And people would be like, oh yeah, they can't bond or anything like that. And you know what? There's arguments either way, but think about something. Who's likely to have a large body count? A 304. Because all women, anybody who's dealt with enough women know all women ain't having no high body count like that. But the women that so many men want tend to, and they tend to be 304s because they pressed about it. Because let's just be real, why are men pressed about it? They're sexier. They tend to be above average in facial features. They tend to have better bodies and everything. Because there's no way they're going to be able to go through so many men without being sexually attractive. That's the real issue. Because let's be real out here. Let's be real. There's plenty of women out here who will have a low body count. There are plenty of women out here not only have a low body count, will have a tendency to be a good wife and supportive and all of that. They even loving, but they ain't getting a man's dick's hard. Let's just be real. Seriously, that's the real issue. Plenty of very good women out here. Guys don't want them. Guys want the 304s. But here's the thing. 304 will never love you. Seriously. Because think about it. What a lot of guys asking, like with the body count issue. A lot of guys saying, well, they can't bond and all of that because they got a high body count. Why the fuck would you want to bond with a 304 anyway? So if you know this woman, if you're going to call this woman 304, and shoot, you got some women, they proud of it, they let you know that. Why would you expect her to love you? Because that's what guys say. If guys saying, well, they can't bond, but if you're caring about the bonding, that means you want that woman to love you. A 304 is not going to love you. Now, I ain't saying they ain't capable of it, but you got to just play like the more likely scenario. You got to play the more likely scenario. Because let's be real on something else too. And the likely scenario, well, before I get into that, the likely scenario is that if she's like used to dealing with a bunch of men, shoot, she ain't going to stick with you through thick and thin. She's going to move on to the next man. That's the thing. Now, there might be some exceptions. Okay. You know, might be some exceptions. And there's a way to bond with them. That's another thing. If you're going, well, I know somebody going to say, what is it? You got to bond with them through the heart. But a woman who's like jumping around like that, she is more likely not going to let her heart get involved. In fact, in my previous episode, I talk about marks. A lot of those women using guys are 304s. And they have a whole rotation getting money from all of them. I met some, they were getting paid. I knew one, she said, she didn't work for a year and a half. And she didn't have to go on welfare. She had a bunch of guys giving her money. So it was like, wait a minute, it's a bunch of guys giving her money. I mean, come on now. Their heart ain't involved. Some of these women can be cold-blooded. The 304, shoot, they lady players. They just as cold-blooded as a male player, you know? But the problem is many guys want them. So if you're saying, well, she can't bond, okay, push it to the side. Don't worry about it. Seriously, don't worry about it. Maybe you need to focus on one of those women who ain't as sexually appealing. Seriously, she could say, and some of them look good. Some of them may have good bodies, but they might not present themselves. You know, they might be socially awkward, nerdy girls. You know, they might be sincerely into their spiritual path. It could be 1,000 reasons, but they still there. But let's just be real. A lot of men ain't checking for them. A lot of guys want to know, how can I get that 304, that above average in attractiveness, got the nice body. How can I get her to bond? Let's just be real. A lot of guys want to save some hoes. And that's the one thing. It's not even, it can happen. It can happen. But first of all, usually, one of the things I found with 304s, women who have legitimate high counts, they into their sex, open about it, got their sex appeal. First of all, the only type of guy that they might settle with, is a Goodbar type. One of those sexually empowered men who got his own high count too. And even in some of those relationships, people be surprised how many of those are like open relationships. So they don't really stop. They just cool with each other for other reasons, but you know, might even have a kid or two together. But those are like swinger types and everything. A lot of guys are not that on that. A lot of guys are just some solid guys. They ain't in the shadow world, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let's just be real. I've said before, if every man could experience it at least one time, but that's just to see what's out there. A lot of guys are good guys. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Hold on to that. Leave the 304s alone. Get out the fantasy that you gonna get this fine ass, sexy ass woman. Seriously, get out of it. Now you might, I'm gonna just be real. They hard to find. That woman going to be above average, sexy as shit, who don't have at least a decent count. At least a count of 10. It ain't impossible, but it's very hard. And then her really wanting you. Just got to be real with it. So see, if a lot of guys really understand just that basic thing, a 304 is a 304. They are who they are. Now, some guys don't care because the guy ain't trying to settle down, okay. But don't have like, oh, I'm going to make her my wifey thing. And see, that even gets into a bigger thing. And you know what? I was actually going to talk about something else for my next video because I always plan my stuff. I'll get into it tomorrow, what most men out here really want. But in the meantime, a 304, they'll never love you. Have some common sense with it. You know, it'd be hard as hell for her to bond to a man. It's not about how much DNA is or who she has sex with. It's about her heart. But when you get women like that, a lot of times they don't engage their heart. Like some lady players, they can be just as cold-blooded. They more pragmatic and everything. So if you can't get her heart, give it up, okay? Give it up, period. And that's just period with relationships at period, all right? But just understand that. And like I said, yeah, it should be common sense, but let's be real. A lot of guys are spent, seriously, if I turn this channel into like, let's go on 304s and modern women, all their problem, 1 million subs. So only way it could get there is if men want the women, all right? And I'm gonna get more into that in the next one. Anyway, that's all I have for now, y'all. I'll get back with y'all later. Peace and blessings.